Welcome to the Morning Brew with your girl, Germaine. This is an exciting day because guess what? It is our first official Mixed Blend Wednesday. And we have a special guest in studio. And I also have a co host with me, my partner in crime. So listen, I am excited. Before I bring them on, right? I just want to give you a little backdrop. But before we do that, give it a few minutes as people are chiming in. And today I actually made my coffee before. I just finished brewing it, so I'm sorry you won't be able to hear it being brewed live. But anyway, I do have my hazelnut coffee. Let me know what you're drinking as you're chiming in. Come into the community. Let me know what you're drinking, as well as listen, there will be time for you to participate in the conversation also. So today's brew is going to be living as a champion, faith, leadership, and resilience in action. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my special guest today. Oh my goodness, you guys, you are in for such a treat. Listen, he's my champion coach, and he is the champion coach to so many people in the professional realm of football and sports, as well as in the Christian realm of, well, I'll tell you what they call him in a second. But anyway, let me get into who our special guest is. Today we have Dr. Vernon J. Shazier, known nationally as the Gospel Cowboy. He is the senior pastor of Rivers of Life Fellowship Church in Fort Pierce, Florida. He's also the president of the Champion Leader, and he's the senior police chaplain for the Fort Pierce Police Department, and he is a former NFL chaplain for the Miami Dolphins. And listen, granted, he wears a lot of hats, not just that cowboy hat, okay? And he is effective in every area that he actually holds a role in. So, with his background being in biomedical engineering, psychology, theology, and leadership, Dr. Shazier is a visionary. He's a speaker. He's a coach dedicated to helping people rise to champion status. Okay, let me bring them on. I done talked enough. So hold on one second. I'm about to bring them in with us, okay? All right, guys. Y'all ready? Let's bring us all on. Hey, guys. Hold on. Let me open the screen up. There we
Hey,
go.
good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. We have Charles, my partner in crime, as I say. He is the visionary behind really helping me get this look like this. Okay. The
All right,
morning
thank
brief.
you for that
He's
shout
my
out.
production partner, but also he's my podcast platform, Urban Bite Network. And we have our special guest, who is definitely no stranger. He is truly a friend. We've known each other for, I don't want to age us. It's been a long time, well over 25 years. Anyway, we look good though, don't we? But we have Dr. V, Vernon J. Shazier, that's with us today. So welcome to the family on Morning Brew. How are you?
Fantastic. Good morning, Brother Charles.
Good
Good to
morning,
see you.
doctor. It's always good to see you and hear you. And I know you're going to be dropping a lot of science this morning.
I'll
Yes.
try my best.
No, we're going to get into the conversation now. We're going to spill the tea. You know, it might be a little scalding hot sometimes as he lays down his champion leadership rules. Now, you guys may have heard me say in the past, schedule my 24, and I always give the credit to where credit is due. That was from my champion coach, Dr. V, right?
Yep.
Germaine, you have to learn how to schedule your 24. Okay. And I'm like, what's 24? 24 hours in a day. Learn how to manage and schedule your 24 hours in your day. Now, when I tell you he's proficient in how he schedules and making sure things are aligned and on schedule and never late, I'm working on that. But that's why I have him. So, anyway, let's get into this. So, now I'm curious because the Gospel Cowboy. Okay, you got to tell us a little bit about that. How did you get that name? And I see the hat, I got to get mine. But tell us, how did you, the Gospel Cowboy, where did that come from?
Well, it began when I was a child. I love watching Western movies. You know, I grew up with Bonanza and Mac Dillon and Grit, and I just love Western movies, and it seems as if the Cowboys had fun and they just lived a fast and exciting life, and outfits they had on, their cowboy hats and their boots and their holsters. And so that's really infatuation really began and was birthed. So that's the genesis of it. And then as I got into adult life, I ended up living in Texas for grad school while I was at Baylor University. And then the cowboy spirit really jumped on me. And I started collecting cowboy boots then. And now I collect cowboy boots, cowboy hats, buckles, bolo ties, a whole lot of things that goes with the whole cowboy image. And so how the transition from cowboy to gospel cowboy took place was once I gave my life to Christ. Before then, I was living a fast, a little wild cowboyish. But after I gave my life to Christ, I still want to be a cowboy, but I couldn't be the same kind of cowboy that I was. Something had to change, and so as I changed and transitioned spiritually and in my faith, I put the gospel in front of the cowboy, and so that's a quick summary of how I evolved into the gospel cowboy.
Germaine, you're muted.
All right, I'm coming. Listen, that is funny because I'm sitting here thinking, now, do you have a horse nearby in a stable?
I don't have a horse, but I pray for me. I am addicted to this cowboy. And it's so bad that I have my neighbor across the street. He's my co-conspirator. So he gets the boots off the porch and hides them in his garage, so that my wife Sunshine, she won't see how many boots I'm ordering. I think now I'm about up to 40 pair of boots right now. I probably have about 100 bolo ties, probably 30 hats. Yeah, pray for me.
Oh,
those are my
I think
vices.
you might be more Texan than I am.
Yeah, those are my vices.
wait a minute. No, he is not hiding the purchases. That's what we do as women. Did he say
You
yes?
know, I learned something. I learned from my wife years ago, and I just use it now because we'll get ready for dinner. We'll be getting ready to go to an event or something, and she'll say, "Where did you get those boots?" And I learned this from her years ago. I said, "I've
Oh,
been had
blame it
them,
on
baby."
her.
I said, "I've been had them."
Oh, you blame the response
Sometimes
on
been
her.
had is 3 months ago. Sometimes been had is 3 weeks ago. Sometimes been had is 3 days ago.
Oh my goodness. Okay, it's not just us. It's not just women. Men do it too. Okay. But listen, I just want to shout out a few people that's joining us on the conversation. So over on Instagram, we have Jessie Moss 92775, which is my Midwest. She's actually out on the West Coast, Sacramento. So I am right, Jessie, with that. Okay. And so we also have Leslie George. She said, not that cowboy hat. Now you know who Leslie George is. Leslie say, not that cowboy hat, Pastor. And so we also have Wanda Devereaux. Good morning. She's drinking her Wegmans. Wegmans just came to our town nearby. Her Colombian blend coffee. And we have Tariq Darrell Williams Sr. You know that name? He said
That's my
B.
brother there.
Yes.
Terry,
Okay.
that's Dr.
Welcome.
Terry Williams. That's my brother.
Okay. Okay, well, welcome to the Morning Brew family. Thank you for chiming in. Please, if you have any questions as we're going through, make sure you post them so we can share them, okay? So now let's get into this. So your journey spans through engineering, psychology, theology, and leadership. How has that diverse background shaped the way you lead and coach today?
probably what has molded and shaped me into who I am and my approach to leadership on a organizational level and on an individual level. And so after I got out of the Navy, I went into engineering, got into engineering school, and began working for a organization called Motorola. I then got into coaching football, and so that's what I was doing before my life was interrupted by Christ. I was working as an engineer and a football coach, and after I gave my life to Christ, I wanted to understand people more. So I went back to school and started working on the engineering degree. I'm not engineering, I mean psychology degree. And once I realized that God was calling me to do ministry full time, that's when I transitioned. That's when I ended up pilgriming and journey to Texas to go to seminary and develop myself in that place. And it was in seminary that I realized that I had a deep love and passion for equipping people, helping people, developing, and that's what I had been doing on the field of football. And so I just decided that leadership was something that I wanted to spend my life doing. And it was in 2002 where I said that I'm going to read something on leadership for an hour every day. And so that started it. And I would just go to churches while I was living in Waco, Texas at Baylor University. I would just go to Texas and ask churches and ask them, hey, can I do some leadership training with your leaders, with your congregation? I won't charge anything. So that was my training ground. And that's where I was able to just develop workshops and seminars and start practicing and putting together. And I just kept going and it evolved. And, today it's moved from 1 hour a day. So I probably read about 5 hours a day now, but that's been my pilgrimage. And so my view of leadership, how one runs an organization is eclectic. It's a blend of football, military, and academia. And so that has shaped just my perspective on how I think effective leaders should lead and what an organization looks like when it's ran effectively and efficiently. Yeah, so I'm a blend of all those.
Absolutely. I know that you've been really instrumental in my life. I know, Charles, you've affected some of even the way we think about things and how we look at the champion status for even our lives. So let's talk a little bit about, excuse me, in a lot of the roles and the hats, I call it the hats that you've been wearing. One of them, from ministry, or you started out with, like you stated, working for Motorola, also football coaching and stuff. And football has been such a pivotal part of your life as well. And to becoming the NFL chaplain for the Miami Dolphins, also raising a child that has excelled to the level of the NFL. That's not easy. And you know what? But you also are bought in as a champion coach to really pour into the lives of so many young people on their journey of really seeing where they may end up professionally and stuff. Let's talk a little bit about that. Just how do you help individuals really get that champion status that they can start believing in themselves?
Again, my life work has taken place in the secular corporate world, in the sports arena. I played sports, I coached sports, in the religious arena, and in some other arenas. But here's been the common denominator that I've consistently found, and that is that no matter what arena or sphere or discipline that I've done work in, or spaces that I've worked in, here's something I found common. There's a high percentage of people who live below average and at best average lifestyle. There's a high percentage of people at best who the work that they produce, the product that they produce, is at best average and most of the times below average. And so for me, that was a common denominator that I found in all of the spheres, disciplines, and space that I worked in, and that bothered me. And so the idea of living a champion life, reaching champion status, it's about you committing to becoming your best you so that you can give the world your best you.
Wow.
And too many people. I mean, again, it doesn't matter which arena, which space. I worked in a mall, and if you think about the different spaces and jobs you probably worked in, most people at best give their average. You get average days work or below average. And so another way to look at it is that I challenge people to not be average, to not be mediocre, to not, whatever you give, to not give anything that's mediocre or average, but to strive to give your best. And for me, giving your best, striving after your best, is what it really means to live a champion life. You becoming the best you so you can give the world your best.
Wow, I know you challenge me and also being able to become the best version of me. And the one thing I so admire with you in how you take on how you really I don't want to say handle, but how you really um are able to capture leadership and be able to pull someone into it, into that space for their own personal lives and really challenge them. And I'm only speaking for myself because you have challenged me and I have not always won in those challenges, but you plant seeds, and as I begin to water them, I find myself, and I think several times I've called you to just let you know I've had one of those Dr. V moments. Whereas I hear you in my subconscious mind, and things just stick. But helping me to really look at how I manage time, how I prioritize, what are my top three, what are the top three things that I must get done in that day, scheduling out, all helping me to effectively manage time. And it's not easy. But when I see how you do that, we just had a conversation yesterday and we were talking about actually your podcast coming to the platform soon. So you guys will definitely be seeing a lot of clips leading up to the official launch of his podcast. But me and Charles were thinking we have to wait until January. And for us, when we got on the phone with you and you really broke that down to us about, when I say he's serious about what's his top threes, how he's prioritizing and managing his time. And when you started explaining to us that you have to plan your schedule out for the next year for ministry, you have to plan. And I just say, okay, now I get it. I need to become more efficient like that.
Well, Germaine, if I could jump in, one of the things that I wanted two things I wanted to say. Speaking of how your advice and counsel has changed lives, I just remember the story that you told when we were actually taping a podcast about a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half ago, when you said, if you're trying to get to New York and you're traveling towards Florida, no matter how fast or how dedicated you are to driving, you will never get to New York unless you turn the car around. So in our lives, and that was to me a metaphor for, at some point you may be going in one direction, but at some point you got to stop and see where you need to make adjustments, where you need to turn things around. That is one thing that has stuck with me. And then right after that, I have another person that I listen to all the time, and he was saying life is like a bus driver. There are people who get on the bus and there are people who get off the bus. And then there are regular people who get on the bus every day. So if you don't ever let some people off your bus, you don't have room for new people to get on, because life is about growth. And those are the things that I've learned from you and the people who I listen to doing these podcasts. And that's why I agree with Germaine. January might be too soon, but I think we have a remedy to that. We got to start teasing people into champion conversations. So we got to start doing that soon, because I think what you have to say will be beneficial to a lot of people who are listening to your podcast and these podcasts that we're putting out there now. Because what I want to do with the whole network that I'm trying to build, I want these podcasts to be informative, fun too. You can have some fun with them, but they need to be informative. They don't need to be about ratchet stuff. They need to be something that's going to elevate people to another level, because I've always learned that either you're teaching or learning, and sometimes you're doing both at the same time, because somebody's watching you. Somebody's trying to follow in your footsteps. So those are the things that I got from you when we, a year or so ago, when we started doing podcasts and we started doing things. And as I
And let me say this, and Germaine, she always talks about how I'm always challenging her and getting after her and staying on her. But again, all I'm doing is because I care about her and love her, I'm challenging you to become the best you, so you can give the world the best you. That's all I'm doing. That's what living a champion life and living championship status is about. It's about being committed to a continuous upward journey, evolving into a better you, because we give the world what we are and what we have.
Yeah.
And the more we have more to give. The better we are, the better what we give is. And so thinking of it that way, Germaine, I know sometimes I may feel like I'm cracking the whip. I'm like, okay, well,
I need that.
Are you managing your, because sometimes I call and we're talking and she seems like she's all over the place. That's wait a minute. You shouldn't be all over the place.
I know.
You should be on point with what you're going to get done today. You should know what are your priorities for the day. You should always be in control of your 24 hours. Time is one of the things we cannot get back. And so I know sometimes I feel like I'm cracking the whip, the cowboy whip, but I'm committed to everyone who's connected to me, helping, challenging them to consistently work to develop and become the best you, so you can give the world the best you.
And Doctor, I think you'll probably explore this more when we start teasing out your podcast. But when I'm talking to people, and I have several partners and different things that I do, I always tell them this: you might be a linear person, mean A, B, C, E, F, G. I tend to be an A, J, N, K, Y person. Have you ever dealt with people like that who gets everything done, but they're not a linear person? And is that good, bad, or indifferent?
So again, Germaine, one of the things that I teach in my leadership style and approach is that I'm not a guy whose main focus is to get everything done every day. That's never my focus. That's never my intention. My focus and intention every day is to get the most important things done. I don't have time to just be busy. There's a whole lot of things we can do that keeps us busy. There's a whole lot of people that does a whole lot of things every day, gets a lot of things done, but when you get to the end of the day, they have not had a highly productive or effective day. And a lot of times that's because they may have gotten a lot of things done. They may have checked off a lot of boxes, but they didn't get the most important things done for that day. And so one of the things that I practice and I teach, what Germaine was talking about, what she's saying, your three most important, is that we manage our 24. I'll use this term here. We manage tomorrow today. And so what I do and what I teach is, before I go to sleep tonight, I will sit down probably on the porch most of the time, and I will ask myself, what are the three most important things I need to get done tomorrow? And if life gets crazy on me and I can only get one thing done, what is my one must? And so when I go to bed, when I close my eyes, I already know what I need to do tomorrow to have a highly productive day. When I wake up, I'm not wondering what I'm going to do, what I need to do. So I go to bed with a clear vision, and I wake up with clear vision and purpose. And what it does is it enables me to consistently have a productive day. It's not just about checking boxes and being busy. It's about getting the most important things done. And I promise you, if your listeners will start practicing that, it will revolutionize and change their life. Where you wake up and you say, I'm going to get my most important things done. And normally I try to get that done by no later than 3 o'clock. I want my most important three and my one must. Because you will have days where life get crazy and you only get one thing done, but you need to know what is that one must. And that's what she's talking about. I wanted to expand upon that, so what the listeners would know what she's talking about when she referenced to my three most important things. That's how we manage our day, 24. That's how we make sure we're having highly productive days.
Germaine, you muted again. Okay. Well, she's working with her technical microphone. So I wanted to always ask you this question, Doctor. With all the advice you give to people over the years, and you've talked to big name people as well as the neighbor down the street giving advice, who feeds back into you?
I have quite a few. Well, I wouldn't call them friends. I have a group who I call brothers, and there are some sisters in that group too. And we really engage in what we call pastor and community. I have a group of brothers who I am connected to. We're close like blood brothers, and we probably speak every day. We definitely speak every week, and we we look out for each other. We talk with each other. We give each other a safe space. Um, we block out time. Sometimes we'll just meet up somewhere just to get away, unplug, to refresh and revive ourselves. And so I have a group of people, individuals who I have given permission to hold me accountable, and who we do life and we do leadership in community. I've found that to be very effective and very valuable, because one of the things that does happen, individuals who are in leadership positions, you're pouring and you solving and dealing with problems on an everyday basis. But your question is great. Who do you allow to pour into you, and how do you get poured in? How do you revive, and how do you unplug? And so I am a part of a network, a group. I call them my cohort, my brothers and sisters from another mother, and we do that. I mean, I don't think there's a day go by where I don't talk to at least one of them, and we talk about life. We talk again. It's a safe space that all we have. We laugh, we cry, and sometimes we fight together. But I do have a group that pours into me, and we pour into each other, and we remind each other of, hey, you may need to unplug, you may. And so that's value. I'm a cowboy, but I'm not the Lone Ranger.
Germaine, do we want to have him answer Leslie's question? Leslie George has a question that's on the screen now.
Someone watching wanting to do one thing today to honestly assess whether they're on the path to becoming a champion in their own life. What single step would you tell them to take right now?
I would look in the mirror. I would find me a mirror, and I would have an honest conversation with that person in the mirror. Some of the questions that I would ask that person in the mirror is, are you intentionally seeking to be and become the best you? Or let me frame it this way. I would ask that person in the mirror questions like this. Who do you want to become? How do you want to be remembered by your children, by your friends? What do you want people to say about you after you take your final sleep? Those questions really tie into purpose. Those questions ties into legacy. Who do you want to become? Who do you want to be? Those are some powerful questions. And it may be surprising, many people have not asked the person in the mirror those questions. I'm clear about who I want to be. I'm clear about what I want my kids to say about me. I'm clear about the legacy that I want to live. I'm clear about what means the most to me. What are the most important things to me in life? And so that would be somewhere that I would represent. I would recommend someone start. Find a mirror and start asking that person in the mirror some of those questions. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? What do you want your children to say about you, your family to say about you? Yeah, those are some questions. And see what the person in the mirror says when they speak back.
Ooh, that's the part right there that we're afraid to know that.
Right. Well,
What
Doctor, one of
will
the
they
things
say?
one of the things that a counselor once told me is that you have to change the tracks of your brain through affirmations. Why are affirmations important, and why do they change the way we think?
So I have something that changed my life, and I'm getting ready to share it. I promise you, listeners, it will change your life. At one of my most challenging, difficult, dark moments in life, a friend of mine brought me a book from a Navy SEAL by the name of Tom Shea. Again, this was a dark season. I was in depression. And to be honest, I even wrestled with suicidal thoughts. That book by Tom Shea, a Navy SEAL, is called Unbreakable. When I started reading it, I couldn't put it down. When I finished reading it, I was freed. In that book, Tom Shea talks about the necessity of controlling your internal dialogue. One of the examples he gives is as a Navy SEAL on his way into an intense battle, he would have voices in his head saying, you may die today, there was negative voices. And then he realized he couldn't allow those negative voices to remain in his head and control him. He's on his way to an intense battle, an assignment that is dangerous, that could be deadly. And so what he said he began to talk back to those negative voices. And he began to control that dialogue. He took control of that internal dialogue. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. You have thoughts go through your head. And so when I finished reading that book, I was delivered. When I finished reading that book, I was talking back to my every negative thought. And so one of the premises is this here. No negative thought must be allowed and given the freedom to roam free in your mind. You must speak back to it. You must combat it. And so that set me free. That delivered me. Some people may say, "Hey, you're crazy. Talk to yourself." I talk back to my negative thoughts. I talk out loud. I talk verbally. And I say this, it's not always something huge. Some mornings the voice in my head say, I don't feel like going to the gym this morning. and literally I shout, get up, V. You gotta get out of bed. You gotta go get it. You gotta go get it.
Wow.
It's like I'm now conditioned to whenever I have a negative thought in my mind, must speak back to it. I have to control the internal dialogue. And all of us have negative thoughts that pop up into our mind. But most of the times we just let it run free. And it's a dangerous thing to continually let negative thoughts run free in your mind. It can lead to depression, anxiety. It can even lead to suicide. And so that is something that I practice daily, and I've shared that and trained people you must control the internal dialogue. No negative thoughts must be allowed to roam free in your mind. Somebody's listening to this podcast this morning or will listen to it, and this is going to set them free and deliver them. No, I don't care how small or large the thought is. If it's negative, you must combat it. You must speak back to it. And because I'm the Gospel Cowboy, a lot of times I do use the word of God to speak back to those
there's nothing
thoughts.
wrong with that.
Yes.
But Doctor, nice talking to you. I'm gonna have to check out because I got another appointment. Germaine, thank you for having me on the Morning Brew. I enjoyed it. Let's do this more often. Let's keep building and growing. And I will talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Charles. We'll be in touch soon.
Have a champion day.
Have a champion day. You know what? That was my signature. And I told you I was going to hijack that in my signature. Have a champion day. As I signed off my communication, it was from my champion coach. But listen, you stated, I'm going to go back because one, we'll give the exciting news at the end about how you are being a permanent fixture with Morning Brew. But I wanted to go back because the one thing when you started talking about how we're scheduling our time or how we're looking at ourselves, really preparing our mental to become a champion leader or really attain that champion status, there's always obstacles that's in our way. We talked about just scheduling our time or really being focused on what are those priority things that we must get done in our day. One thing that you begin to share with me is, Germaine, it's okay. You don't have to answer every phone call. Schedule out even the time when you call people back. And people don't realize how much that can really free you up to feeling like you always got to be the answer. You always got to be there to respond. But you really have taught me how to make me the priority as I'm going through. And it's not about being selfish. And the one thing when Charles began to share earlier, you stated, I am clear and I am focused on where I'm going, the direction I'm going in. And you begin to teach us about saying the power of no and saying no. And you said, if y'all want to get in a car with me, y'all can, but I'm letting you know right now, my exit is this, and I'm not stopping until I get there. So if you get in this car, you're getting off at that exit. But when you begin to teach and share and plant seeds about the power of no, there was something you stated that I really want you to share with us. By saying no to someone means you're saying yes to someone or something, or when you're saying yes, and by not saying no, you're taking away from something. But can you really elaborate a little more on the power of saying no?
Most people don't think about it, but when I talk about the power of your no's and yeses, and so many people don't realize whenever you say yes, you're also saying no. And whenever you say no, you're also saying yes. One of the examples that I give or illustrations that I give, and I think that's the one I may have given when we was recording that show, is that I had a buddy who called me and asked me would I come and speak for him. And I told him I was not available. I already had a commitment. And he said, okay, I just thought I'll check. And so he called me back in like 5 minutes later. And when I answered the phone, he says, Vernon, I need to ask you something. And I said, go ahead. He said, what did I do that offended you? Because I've asked you to come and speak and preach my anniversary 3 years in a row. And each time you've told me no. So I just assumed that I did something that offended you. I said, my brother, you did nothing to offend me. Every year, your anniversary is the same time. Every year, it's during football season, and my son is playing football, and that's a greater priority. I say, if I say yes to you, I'm saying no to being there for my son and supporting my son. And so that's what it helps me determine whether I say yes or no, because I know what I'm saying yes to is saying no to something. What I say no to is saying yes to something. And so if I would have said yes, I'd have been saying no to my son. And when I said no to him, I was saying yes to my son, because my son having his father at his football game is more important to him and me than me going to a speaking engagement. And so everybody needs to think about that, process that. You know, when I say yes, what am I saying no to? And when I say no, what am I saying yes to? It will help you give more thought to your yeses and nos before you just blurt them out. Because again, most people don't think about that. When you say yes, what are you saying no to? And when you say no, what are you saying yes to? And you need to evaluate that. You need to process that. That illustration I gave you, I think everybody should understand that there. My son having his father there, me being there for my son, was far more important than any speaking engagement. And I knew that if I said yes to my friend, I would be saying no to my son.
Wow. I tell you, I just want to post that real quick. And we do have some other questions that I want to bring in also. But you're right. The one thing I heard you say, he made it more so about, he took an offense because he made it about himself and it had nothing to do with him. You were clear and you were focused. And the thing is that for you, you knew why every year his speaking engagement was the same time that was an event in your son's life.
And he had a good question. He had a good
Mhm.
question. It's a
Yeah.
fair question. But after I explained it to him, then he was in agreement with me. You know, it's okay. That makes sense. Now I understand. I said, yeah, man. You know, so we was cool and good and everything. You know, but that was a fair question. But I explained to him, and again, so many people or so few people give thought to what it means when they say yes and no. It's not just a no. You're also saying yes to some things. It's not just a yes. You're also saying no to some things.
Wow. That was good. Thank you for breaking that down, because it's something that we need to really adapt and make it a part of our life. And it's okay without guilt to say no sometimes and say yes also to some things, but not everything. I have a question that I want to bring up from, okay, Lonnie Jones says, do you believe that we should write down negative thoughts and behaviors to then recognize them and then be able to dismiss them?
I think that will be valuable. I do a lot of journaling, and so I would say yes. You know, write down your thoughts and your behavior. You probably will see a pattern if you're journaling on a regular basis, and then you need to engage in that dialogue that I talked about, where you speak back to those negative thoughts. So I think that would be a very productive exercise, to write down your thoughts and your behavior, and then give thought to how you're going to change that, how you're going to pivot,
Wow. Thank you.
how you're going to change your outcome. Again, I use a lot of interrogatives, but they're very helpful and profound. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? What kind of person do I want to be? And if your behavior does not line up with that, if the direction you are moving and traveling in doesn't line up in that, then again, it's I don't want to use a harsh word, but it's almost idiotic to think that like I told Charles, that you're going to get to New York, on 95 South. It's not going to happen. And many people can do articulate what their goals are, what their ambitions are in life. But when you look at what they say and how they behave, there's a total contradiction. They don't align with each other. And so I would say profoundly, yes, this would be an exercise that can be very insightful. What you speak, and see the speech part, the words have power. And so your thoughts and your speech and your behavior, journal it. And then ask yourself, does it align with who I say I want to be? Who the person in the mirror said they want to be? Where the person in the mirror said they want to go? Who the person in the mirror said they want to become? Have that conversation. You need to interrogate. You need to have an interrogation section with the person in the mirror. You need to go in your bathroom, somewhere where there's a mirror, and you need to interrogate that person in the mirror with interrogatives. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be in the next 3-5 years? What type of person do you want to be? Do you want to be a nice person? Do you want to be a person of integrity? You need to interrogate that person. Yeah, and write down their responses. So yeah, I think that would be a very productive exercise. It can get intense. I've had some very intense conversations with that guy in the mirror.
I'm serious.
I've had some powwows with that guy in the mirror. Get in the mirror, fight with that guy in the mirror. That young lady in the mirror. Sometimes it can get real deep and serious.
I agree. Using that exercise, really looking at self, and when I saw how controlling I could be, it was like, it wasn't a good feeling. But you know what? When you're faced with self and you're serious about being committed to making change, then you know what? You go through the hard times on this journey to become what you desire to be. So, all right. That was a great question, Lonnie. Thank you so much for that. I do have, hold on, let me pull up another. Someone watching, this is Leslie George. Someone watching, nope, sorry, wrong one. Hold on. She gave
I was getting ready to say, if Leslie got another question, we have to charge her.
Listen, Leslie, keep bringing them. Leslie, keep bringing them. Leslie says, let's normalize being selfish because it starts with self. The more you honor your own needs, the more powerfully you can show up for everything and everyone else. Comments.
I agree with Leslie there. I literally teach those who I mentor that there are times when it's okay and there are times when it's necessary to be selfish. I give you an example. Yesterday, I spent time designing a workshop for couples that I'm going to be doing next month at a retreat. And so I blocked out 3 hours to work on that. And so I was selfish for those 3 hours. For those 3 hours, I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't answer no phone calls. I didn't respond to no texts. Nothing. No one had access to me. I was selfish for those 3 hours so that I can complete my task and have an effective day. And so there are times when it's necessary and okay to be selfish. Last year I finished a 3-year doctoral program. I was selfish a whole lot during those 3 years where I told people no. I didn't take events. I didn't go do a whole lot of things, but it was necessary for me to be selfish, and I was okay with it. I was comfortable with it. And I know there was sometimes people asked me to do some things or go to some things or attend some things, and I said no because I was being selfish because I needed to get my work done. And so I know most of the time when you hear the word selfish, it carries a negative connotation, but there are times when it's necessary and okay for you to be selfish, especially when you're trying to have a productive day, productive life, need to get things done, especially when you need to take care of your mental and physical health.
Absolutely. That's Leslie. That was a great point to normalize being selfish. And I literally just had a coffee brew talking about that. But we hold a lot of guilt when we have to tell people no, or when we're not making ourselves available to people, because people just expect what they expect. So
Let me say it again. I want to go back to what I talked about, the power of no's and yes.
yes.
People, I never nobody nobody never makes me feel guilty.
So you
I don't
mastered
care
that.
what they try. Here's the reason why. Because I understand, I've given thought to, if I said no to them, that means that there is something else that I believe is more important that I say yes to. So they can't make me feel guilty. They can travel. They can't make me feel guilty. You know, I mean, again, I said those 3 years I was in that doctoral program, I said no to a whole lot of people, and it didn't bother me. They couldn't make me feel bad. I never had a moment that I felt bad because I didn't do something, go somewhere, attend something, because what was important to me, what was more important to me going to an event or a dinner or whatever, is for me to get my schoolwork done. And I promise you, that's why I said you need to give thought to, and you need to know why you're saying no and yes, and that should prevent anybody from causing you to feel bad. Like I said, there is nothing that gentleman, the illustration I used, there is nothing he could have said that would have made me feel bad, because I was saying yes to being with my son, supporting my son.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And you know what? This is hot.
Can I drop something else? Can I drop a bomb on your audience?
Please, you've been dropping bombs.
Let me drop a bomb. And there's a in psychology, there's something we call emotional blackmail. Okay, write this acronym down. Those who are listening, those who will listen. The acronym is FOG. FOG. Fox, Oscar, Golf. These are tactics that people use when they want to get something from you, and you're kind of reluctant when they want to control you. It's tactics that people use every day, and when I share it with you, you're going to know what I'm talking about. The F is for fear, O is for obligation, G is for guilt. And so these are tactics that people use, and they only work for people who have a close connection with you. That's why it's called emotional blackmail. So people use these tactics when they want what they want, and you won't give them what they want. When they want to control you, they use the tactic of fear losing the friendship, fear losing something. They use obligation, try to make you feel like you're obligated. They use guilt to try to make you feel like you're guilty. We all do. We all use those tactics. We may not realize we're doing it. Now, there's some people who do know what they're doing and they're intentional with it, but we all do them. But some, it's like anything. It can be used for good and bad. But think about that. And I want your audience to think about that. Whenever someone is trying to make you feel bad, or you're not giving them what they want to control you, they will use emotional blackmail. When my athletes call me, sometimes they'll say, "Chap, I'm dealing with some fog." So I know what they talk about. I know what this conversation getting ready to be about. They're not giving somebody what they want. Somebody doesn't have the level of control that they wish or desire. And so they're engaging in emotional blackmail, where they're using the tactics of fear, obligation, and guilt. And again, when you recognize it, you just say, "Okay, I know what's going on. I'm dealing with some fog here."
Wow.
So somebody may get hit with some fog today. I'm telling you, everybody does it. We don't realize that we're
Exactly.
doing it, But some people really use it constantly for the wrong reasons, to control a person.
It's good to put a name to it. So if we hear all those out there saying, I'm having a fog moment, we'll know what it means. So
Let me give you an example. This will help make you laugh, but it's
Mhm.
real. It's real and raw. I had a father whose son
A
was playing
father?
a father whose son was playing in the league, and he called me and he asked, could we have lunch? I said sure. So I had lunch with him, and he was sharing with me some of the things his family was going through, and he was going through with family members, and then he took out his phone and he handed it to me, and he asked the question, how do you deal with this, Mr. Shazier? I took the phone, I looked at it. It was a picture of a refrigerator. The door was wide open, and it was empty. And the words at the bottom were this: "So you're gonna let us starve?" Now
That's
that's
some
some
emotional
fault.
blackmail.
Yes,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, one of his family members was gonna text him a picture of a refrigerator with the door open, the refrigerator empty. It's again because he asked him for some money and he said no, and so he chose to engage. He didn't know what it's called, but he he didn't know he was doing emotional blackmail, but he chose to engage it and use it. And so I like to educate people about that. So when it's happening to you, you can say, "Oh, I'm dealing with some fog. You're throwing some fog at me." Keep in mind, it only works with people who you have a close relationship with. If Germaine, you could try on me, and you may get a little traction. So if you call me and say, hey, can I borrow $1,000? I may, we're gonna have a conversation and talk a little bit. But somebody I don't even know, or somebody I don't have a relationship at level, it's like a quick no, and they can use fear, obligation, guilt. They can throw all kind of fog at me. It's not gonna bother me at all. I have no serious emotional connection with them. But what about when it's a close friend, a brother, a sister? You see what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, I do. It's harder to
yeah.
say no.
And so it only works. Again, it only works. Get any kind of traction with somebody who you have a kind of serious bond with. But when you brought up about people making you feel guilty about being selfish, or again, you need to know who you want to be, where you want to go, and when someone presents you with opportunity. Here's the thing about me: nobody calls me with bad things as far as like projects and ideas.
Okay.
It's just I'm able to say no because it's not for me.
I love that.
Okay, it's not for me. There's nobody calls me with a horrible business idea, but it's not something I'm interested in. I don't even care if it's making money. I'm not interested in it. Okay. Let me give you some other. Oh man, I'm about to start charging for this.
No, wait, you're about to become a resident expert, champion coach.
I was reading, and I got so many of his books, I can't remember which one. I was reading one of Howard Thurman's books probably about 8 years ago. And he asked a question that just, oh man, just lassoed me in. Like a cowboy just lassoed. The question was, what are the most important things to you in life? Wrestled with that question on my porch for a whole week. And at the end of the week, this is what I wrote down. I wrote my family, my ministry work, my leadership work. That gave me total focus. And I said, this is what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. This is what I want to devote my time, my energy, all my resources to. So if somebody brings me something that does not align or fit into those 3 boxes, I'm not interested. I know what are the most important things to me in life. This is what I want to spend my time and resources the rest. And it gives me joy because, oh my goodness, it's such, I can't explain how beautiful, how sweet it is when you're able to do what you love the most to do. Most of us, we work and we do what we need to do to pay the bills. We need to, keep the house, the lights on, everything else. But it's a beautiful place when you are able to get in a place where you are doing what you love the most. It's a beautiful place. I've worked jobs. I've been working since I was about 8 years old. I started in Orange Grove and Mayfield. I did what I had to do to put money in my pocket to pay the bills. But now, thanks to God, I'm at a beautiful place where I'm doing and I'm investing my lifetime and energy in the things that are the most important to me and I love the most. That's another question to have with that man and woman in the mirror. What are the most important things to you in life? Write them down. You can't have it can't be no top 10. I did my top 3. You can have, okay, what are the top things? And then I promise you, work on trying to get to where you're doing what you say, what the man and the lady in the mirror say the most important things to you. That's where I'm at, and I think that's why I know that's why life is so beautiful and sweet for me, and so much of what I do. Yes, I carry a heavy load, but it's sweet because I'm doing what I believe is most important to me. I'm doing what I love the most. I spend a lot of time with my family. I spend a lot of time, and I go wholehearted in my ministry work and in my leadership work. Those are the 3 most important things to me in life. And that's what God has blessed me now to where I'm at the point where I'm able to do those things every day that I love the most. Are the most important things to me. So I think some of your listeners need to have a serious conversation with that person in the mirror.
I just want to say, you just freed me. You just freed me. And for some reason, you've told me this before, but it just hit me. And I guess because the timing of it. But until we can truly identify the most important things in our life, we will give our life to everybody and not know how to say no without feeling guilty. So that's freeing and liberating.
Yeah, again, it brings purpose.
Yes.
And it brings focus. Like I said, I honestly, I get a lot of calls. I get a lot of invitations. And it's rare that I can say somebody call me with some junk. No, it's a good idea, good business, but it's not what I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I tell them, hey man, I think that's a good. That sounds like a good project, good business idea, but it's nothing I'm interested in, and I'm okay with it.
Yes.
I don't feel bad. They can't make me feel bad. I tell you, and I thank God, I'm living my best life. Again, I went through those years where I did whatever I need to do to pay the bills and take care of my family. I went through periods where I was coaching football, refereeing football, working a full-time job, being a mortgage broker part-time. I had to do whatever was necessary to keep the lights paid on and the bills and food. And I did it, but there was no joy in it. I have joy. I have joy and a peace because
And peace, yes.
I'm doing it's just a beautiful place. Anybody who's there, and when you get there, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's a beautiful place to be. It's a blessing to be able to do something that you really love and it's important to you. That's why some people who are there, when they arrive there, they say it doesn't even feel like work.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
What I'm doing right now doesn't even feel like work. I enjoy. I can talk leadership. I can, I love. This is what this things
I
that
know.
I love.
I know
So
it's infectious.
you are working me. You are working, but it doesn't feel like work to me. But you are working me. You're getting some work out of me, but it doesn't feel like work.
Absolutely. And you know what? The passion is just everything. And so, but just look at it from this standpoint. We're just preparing you for when your platform is live and ready to go. But you will be able to find him here on Morning Brew. At least, what did you say? Once a month? Once a
I
month.
commit
He's
to
gonna
once a month. I committed to
once a
once a
month.
month. Yeah.
That's all he can schedule in his 24 hours.
You,
Once a
you
month.
tried to get me once a week. I can't do once a week. I commit to once a month. See,
Once a month.
that's another nugget for your audience. I I have so many calls and invitations that I get, but I teach people a nice, pleasant way to say no. Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Here's a nice, pleasant way to say no. I teach this to all of football players and their families. I teach to all my clients. Here's what you say when you want to say no in a nice, pleasant way. I already have a commitment. And you're not lying.
You're not
You don't
lying.
have to
No.
tell them what your commitment is. Your commitment can be sitting in your house watching Days of Our Lives. Your commitment could be, whatever it is. You have a commitment. You're gonna be
That's
committed
it.
to doing something during that time.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. You say, I already have a commitment. And again, that sounds simple, but it's profound. I found that it's
Absolutely.
profoundly helpful for people because people wrestle with saying no. And
They really do.
people often encounter fog when they tell people no. But
They
I just
do.
say, I already have a commitment.
I love
But
it.
you don't have to tell them what your commitment is.
That's the problem. We feel like we have to over explain. We have to give all the
No.
details. I
Yeah,
just
just
said
again, just say,
that
listen. I would love to be there, but we'd have a commitment.
Well, listen, we can do this all day long, but I do have a question that I want to say that I want to ask before we leave out. This is from Lonnie again. He said, what percentage of being selfish is necessary?
I think selflessness is required for a multitude of things. It's required for you to have a productive and efficient day. It's required for you to remain healthy mentally and physically. And again, the whole idea when we say being selfish, this is where you realize that it's necessary for you to turn people off and turn sometimes things off so that you can do whatever you need to do for you. That's what it's about. And so if that helps, another way of thinking about is turning everything off so you can focus on what you need to do for you. And it can be, your task, your assignment, or projects. It could be for personal health, mental health, whatever it is. There are times when it's okay to say no. It's times when it's okay to be selfish. In fact, let me say this. If you study the life of people who are highly effective, you will discover that they have some common seasoning on their life. What's your favorite dish, Germaine? Food dish?
Shrimp and grits.
Shrimp and grits. And so, to have some good shrimp and grits, it needs to be well seasoned.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people who are highly effective, people who live a champion life, they have some common seasons. They have discipline. They have integrity. They have structure. They have order. They have planning. they have some dashes of selfishness in there. They have resilience. There's this. You'll find out that there's some common seasonings that can be found in their life, and it is those things that enables them to consistently be effective and stay refreshed. My philosophy and approach to staying healthy is I practice what some call micro resilience. And what micro resilience is that instead of waiting till you totally burnt out to try to refresh and revive yourself, you take short breaks along the way. You take moments to rest along the way. So let me illustrate this way. So you work 3 months, 90 days, and then at the end of those 90 days, you take a break to refresh and revive yourself. And when you get to the end of those 90 days, you're so tired, wore down, and beat down that all you can do is lay in the bed, in the couch, and you can't get up because you don't realize you just wore yourself. You rolled the tires to all the rubbers off of them. Well, I don't like that approach. Many people use it. Me, I like to take breaks along the way so I never get totally wore out and burnt out. And so I'll take a break every week. Every week I have a day. This is for refresh and revive along the way. And so over those 90-day period, I'm staying fresh. I'm staying revived. I'm never worn down. And this whole idea of micro resilience, it was birthed out of a study research project that was done on tennis players. And the goal was to discover, why do you have tennis players who have the similar close athleticism and ability, but a small group wins more than the other ones? And as they recorded and videoed all of their practices, all of their matches, they discovered in the research that there was a small group that took small, consistent times to revive and refresh themselves, and they never got totally wore down. And so they were more efficient, more stronger for the whole journey. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I would say, hey, don't wait till you get to the end of 90 days to try to refresh and revive. Again, another illustration. Some people go a whole year and then they change their oil in the car. It's recommended that you change it every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a reason for that.
Yeah. Wow.
So practice micro resilience. Start taking block out a day, or it may not be a full day. You can block out it's so many ways you can do it. You can block out an hour a day. I got people who practice it. They block out an hour. I got a buddy of mine. He blocks out an hour or two a day where he just goes and sits in his recliner. He puts some blindfolds on and some music, and he takes that time to refresh, relax, and revive. He does that every day, So it's again,
discipline.
It's you got to stay healthy. And so me, I'm a horse that a lot of people ride. I'm not gonna let them ride the horse into the ground.
Yeah, because if you're no good, they're no good, right? Especially if they're relying and dependent on you.
Yeah. So I found that to be helpful, and I'm still and always looking for ways that I can practice micro resilience, to keep me even more fresh. Like I said, I'm so passionate about what I do. I have to be careful and mindful, because if I do not take care of myself and practice some selfishness when I need it to, my passion can become a poison.
Oh my gosh, talk about it. I mean, that's a powerful statement. If you're not careful, your passion can become your poison. Elaborate.
Even your passion can get too out of balance sometimes.
So it could be a bit much, overwhelming, till it starts working against you.
It was Charles who asked the question, you wear these multiple hats. Dr. Shazier, what do you do? How do you keep yourself, healthy and right? And those are some of the ways. I got quite a few things that I do, that I'm intentional about that helps me stay fresh and healthy mentally and physically.
That tied right into this question. Can you speak to the importance of prioritizing your physical health? And I know we're going to bring it to a close, but this has been so good, this tea today.
Again, you perform at a good level, a great level, when you are intentional about managing not just your physical, but also your mental health. We deal with so much in life. Life can get heavy. Life is filled with transitions. And most of us, we don't just carry our own baggage and bear our own burdens. We also carry and bear the burdens of others. And so you need to be intentional and have a system for how do you remain healthy mentally and physically. To neglect either one, I think can be very detrimental.
Yeah.
But you need to have a plan. You need to have a system. That's what
Absolutely.
that's what I want your audience to understand. You need to have a plan and a system, a method. I got plans and systems for pretty much for everything.
How long did it take you though? What were some of the challenges you found as you was putting this in place? And also, how do your family respond to it? Because for you, you're clear of teaching people how you need to react or how they need to react and respond and interact with you.
My family, I have no problems out of my family. They know how I am. They know who I am. And so, yeah, I would say maybe some years ago I did, but now they know who I am, how I am, and they know there's some things I'm dogmatic about. And so they don't bother me. It's rare that I get any fog, thrown at me by my family. They know who I am. They know how I am. They know how I move, roll, and how I live life, and they respect that. Sometimes they may not like it, but they respect it.
Definitely. Whew. I'm gonna just leave that up there for those that might be dealing with fog or you see it show up in your life. Now you have a clear understanding of what it actually means, right? And it's okay to say no. I just have to tell you, Dr. V, you can come and take over anytime. And so I am really going to enjoy spending once a month with you, along with our community, of really being able to allow people to ask questions on this path of becoming a champion leader and knowing what it means to obtain champion status. Now, it's not going to be easy because some things will have to change. But what we do in this part of it, this is our final sip part of the segment, whereas we just bring some things to a close. So I just want to ask you, for the audience today, for those that's in the community that's listening, that's giving your feedback and your questions, Dr. V, what are some things that you would love to leave with them in pretty much as they're living or looking to start living a champion style life? So what advice could you give them?
Years ago, when my two sons were small, we had a weekly practice, and that was we would go out to eat. Normally, we would go to a wing spot that they love in Pompano Beach called Wings and Things, and we did that once a week. We went out to eat. One particular week, they wanted to do it twice. I said, we've already had our one eat out for this week. But they're like, Dad, we want some McDonald's. We want some McDonald's. I said, okay. So I gave in. I took them to McDonald's. We get to McDonald's, and in my mind, I'm saying to myself, okay, we only eat out once a week. Now I'm giving them 2, so I'm going to get them real good. I'm going to get them real good. So we walk inside McDonald's. We get to the counter. I said, okay, order what you want, but you have to order. You can only order off the value menu. Oh, that messed them up. The value menu, because I already knew what both of them wanted, and what they wanted wasn't on the value menu. The value menu is that discounted menu, and so we are. It really got crazy. I'm in the lobby of McDonald's, and my 2 little sons, they are going back and forth with me. They're whining. They don't want off the value menu. They want to order off the regular menu. And then, I'm like, I'm not giving in. I'm having fun with it. They're pouting. And then my youngest son, he hit me with a low blow. Oh, he hit me with a low blow. He said, Dad, you call yourself the champion coach? Well, do champions eat off the value menu? I said, oh my goodness. No, this boy didn't just go there. And I couldn't do nothing but laugh. I said, order whatever you want, boy. Y'all just order what you want, whatever you want. I tell that story.
Wow.
Here's the point of it. Life offers us so many value menus. Cheap, easy way out. Cheap, easy way to do things. Here's the sip, the final sip on the lead for your audience. I want to get to that. This is what I want to hand to your audience. Don't settle for life's value menus. Hey, I'm Vernon Shazier, Dr. Read the Gospel Cowboy. Sip on that last sip. Don't settle for life's value menus.
Wow. I'm just adding that into the comments. Wow. It has been such a joy, such a pleasure. I mean, boy, this has been a lot to take in. So I hope y'all took notes. But the great thing is you can always hit replay and go play it back on YouTube or Facebook. And also, it's going to air again tonight for Evening Pour at 6:05 if you want to catch it again. So, but let me leave that as your final note. Don't settle.
And I need to let them know they need a life coach or a speech coach.
Absolutely. How can they get in touch with you?
Call the Gospel Cowboy, VernonShazier.com. You can get in touch with me. info@VernonShazier.com. I would love to work with you.
Hold on, let me put it in. Vernon Shazier. All right, let me just add that in so people can see how to connect with you. Contact info@VernonShazier.com. The good thing is he's going to be back once a month for Mixed Blend Wednesdays. And so we'll decide on what date that is, and then we'll let y'all know. But you know what? If you stay connected, you can always know, get those notifications. Go to YouTube, Morning Brew with Germaine, and make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you do all that other stuff. Okay. It helps. So thank you. Thank you once again for always saying yes when I ask. And the good thing is,
always
I don't abuse it. Listen, I don't abuse it. I do not often ask for things, do I?
No, you don't abuse it.
He's more of the master asker. Germaine, I need. Germaine, I need. Germaine, can you do? I need. But thank you so much for making yourself available. And also thank you for becoming a partner friend in Morning Brew with Germaine. We look forward to having you really coach us through, leadership tips and just how we need to show up in life. So I appreciate you. And always, I love you. So thank you for being family. And thank you once again. And you know what? Stay connected. Hold on. Let me just close out and stay on for a sec. But thank you so much, guys, for chiming in. This is what you're going to find. Like I said, pretty much just showing up, being consistent. You never know what else is going to be added to Morning Brew. So I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I love you all. Thank you for all your questions. Please make sure you share this with someone. We'll also be sharing some clips. But thanks. And you know what? Tomorrow we're back again for Morning Brew with Germaine, and Fridays is Morning Brew with Germaine, Authors Brew Friday. So we do have an author in studio this Friday. Thank you, and be safe, whatever you do in your travels today. But really, go back and check out some of the comments, because I was really putting in his sound bites, the tips, the resources that he was really giving us to be able to help us along this journey. Make sure you go and you write those down if you missed them. Thank you. I'll see you back tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, and let someone know about this coffee break today. Thanks. Bye.